Welcome back to the show, ladies and gentlemen. Episode 7 of the Pinch Talk podcast with Marty and Pat. It's a beautiful day out here. It's actually mad wind, but it's cold, but it's not super cold and it's not hot at all. It's that perfect hoodie weather. So welcome to the show. Like I said, remember to check out the podcast on Twitter, the podcast account, the Baseball Terms 101 threads that we do. I think they're actually finished, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, so check them out if you're a new fan. They'll really help you. Check out Pat's articles. All the links will be down below. Remember that the podcast is available on every platform you could want. And I mentioned my man Pat. He's here with me as always. How you doing, bro? How was your weekend?
My weekend was great. We beat the Tigers, as we should have done, but we dropped a game that we shouldn't have dropped. It was a really interesting series. Jose Ramirez is the Tiger killer now of this era of baseball. Well, him and Nelson Cruz are, and it's like he's Tomey-esque right now. The way he tortures the Tigers every time he plays them.
Yeah, he smokes them, and they know it too.
Yeah, just in context, he had 5 extra base hits in one game off of them, 5 for 5, with all of them extra base hits, 2 home runs and 3 doubles.
That's fucking crazy.
Yeah, this was in 2017.
Yeah, he's the best player on the team. We're going to talk about it too.
Yeah, of course. We could get there. Yes.
So I mean, Pat kind of talked about it, but the postseason picture, just so you guys know, let me actually check out the Rays are leading the AL East by a couple games from the Yankees. Then the Blue Jays are they're actually the number 8 seed right now. I'm checking out the standings and everything. So you got Rays, Yankees, Blue Jays. Everyone else doesn't matter. The AL Central, you got the White Sox, the White Sox and Twins, and then the Indians are a couple games back. It's looking like the White Sox are going to take it, although we're probably going to talk about that in more detail coming up soon. The West is 100% for the A's. The Astros have been really mid this year. Then the National League West, of course, Dodgers and Padres. Everyone else pretty much doesn't matter except the Giants, if maybe somehow they make the playoffs. The NL East is a bit of a shit show, but the Braves, the Marlins, and the Phillies all have a good chances of making it, and we'll be talking about the Mets in a later segment. And the Central is clearly the Cubs. The Reds are making a push, and the Cardinals have a hectic schedule. Everyone else really, the Brewers kind of mid, so yeah, that's that. And that kind of lends itself to, kind of us going, because there's a couple things to talk about here, of course. We have, of course, the MVP talk, who the MVPs are going to be, because there's actually a conversation to be had there, because the MVP is typically an award that involves a lot of narratives around it, but we're also going to talk about the Mets, as you know, but the first topic that I wanted to throw out there is kind of how the postseason picture is actually looking, and because I know, and you and I have talked about this. There's some teams that they're convincing postseason teams, and then there's some teams that you look at and you go there's a big hole right there that I'm not sure how this translates in October. And we talked about this, and there's a team that's doing really well in the American League that has that type of deal going for both of us, doesn't it?
Yes.
And that team is the White Sox. You want to expand on that a little bit, because we both had some concerns on them before the season started, but we both thought there was some upside here. It's been pretty much best case scenario, but I still have some questions about the pitching staff, as I'm sure absolutely. You do as well.
So we were both really confident in the position player group, especially with the players that they signed in the offseason to complement the young guys they have in the lineup. Edward Encarnacion was been injured for most of the year, but he's still Edward Encarnacion either way, and he's probably going to resign with them anyways, just because he's a mentor to all. He's going to be a huge mentor for all those young Afro-Latino guys in our roster.
Yep.
As he's been in the World Series and he's been in the playoffs multiple times, and he's hit 400 home runs. So he's definitely good for that team, and he can still be productive.
Yeah.
But the thing is, for them, can Eloy Jimenez actually play left field? Is he a DH? is Luis Robert going to manage his strikeout rate enough to be effective at the plate like we all know he can be, because he still hits the ball hard as crap, and he's still an above average player. But a 110 WRC plus from a player with strength and athleticism like him inside the box and on the bases, and plays plus defenses in the field is just uncommon. So you really have to maximize him while you have him in order, because that full package is Ronald Acuna with
better
it's
fielding.
It's Ronald Acuna with what's his face, Andrew Jones defense.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, less on base skills too. But
Yeah, exactly.
The main concern that we both had is the pitching staff.
And besides Lucas Giolito and maybe a couple of players, it's not, their rotation is shaky. Their young guys' peripherals are awful, although the offense is really saving them right now. They're both in its besides the lefty they gave the extension to, and Alex Coloma.
Yeah, Garrett Crochet.
And Garrett Crochet, thing is on him, he doesn't have good control. Even though he could hit 100 for a lefty and he has a wipeout slider, he still might be good, but the reliever is also very volatile too. So his value may vary year to year, like most relievers will.
Yeah, the thing with them is the position player side is there, but it's there and it's only going to get better.
Now, to be fair, excuse me, I didn't mean to interrupt you. They don't have Michael Kopech. They don't have Michael Kopech. He opted out, so
that's true. That's true.
He has ace stuff. If he can stay healthy and his changeup look decent when he pitched those 4 games or whatever. If he can maintain that and also control his fastball, he has ace type stuff. He might be better. He's going to be better than Giolito if he can use his whole arsenal, not just be a thrower, because he's going to hit 103 still, I think.
Yeah.
So
the thing with them is Giolito's an ace. We both agree on it. Kopech has ace stuff, ace potential. The rest though, and I like Dallas Keuchel. I like watching him pitch because his games tend to be entertaining, but he's nothing more at this point than a good number 4. And Dylan Cease is just there's such a big discrepancy between his WHIP and his ERA that is just
awful peripherals, man.
Yeah, he has terrible.
Walk rate is disgusting.
Yeah, he walked in his last outing, and I posted that on the podcast account too. He faced 17 batters, walked 7, and hit 1. So over half the batters he faced either walked or hit. And I mean, he didn't give up a hit, but he just could not get guys out. And
how many runs did he give up?
Go ahead.
How many runs did he give up?
0.
What the fuck?
It was one of the funniest pitching lines, dog. It was 3 innings pitched, 3+, 0 hits, 0 runs, 7 walks, 1 hit by pitch, and 5 strikeouts. It was a hilarious line. I think the Reds walked 13 times that game, something like that. But anyway, so the pitching staff is in, and
the Votto effect.
The Votto effect. Also, Votto has been looking really good since he got quote unquote benched. He's striking on more, but he's also hitting the shit out of the ball, and he's still Joey Votto. And I'd love for him to be good. But anyway, so the White Sox, I mean, position player. Also, one thing that we talked about, they don't have a leadoff guy. And they don't have a true leadoff guy. And I think a lot of people are going to be a little bit disappointed with what they get from Tim Anderson 3 years down the road. Am I correct with saying that?
You're right.
I think that, and you've said this, and I thought it was so spot on from you when you said it. He has the athleticism to play shortstop, but the internal clock is not there. There's they're like there's something missing watching him play short. The athleticism's there. He has the arm, the agility, everything. But like he doesn't feel like a natural at all. And I think he's gonna end up having to move off shortstop eventually. They're gonna try with him at shortstop, but he's gonna have to move. But
he's gonna go to center field for sure, absolutely. If they can't, if Grisham probably gonna have to slide with it right, and they have another shortstop prospect that just appears out of nowhere for them, like the Padres do.
Yeah, I mean,
so you get what I was saying with the eternal clock, right? Like you see him just the way he moves. It works, but because his athleticism, but he's gonna break down quick because he just doesn't have the timing to where he has to exert himself on every play. Like Lindor, I think I don't know how to explain. He has range, but he doesn't have range. Like,
yeah, it's like every play like looks difficult for some reason, despite the fact that he's super athletic. Like when
he's like Derek Jeter if he was a super athlete.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, he has that thing. Like when you watch Lindor, like you put an example, Lindor, Andrelton Simmons, guys like that.
Andrelton Simmons.
Story. Like they make the plays look effortless. Like even the difficult plays, they look like I'm not surprised he got to that ball. It doesn't look clumsy. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. That whole deal. Yeah, I think he's eventually going to have to move, and they're going to have problems because they need a leadoff hitter, and Andrew Vaughn is not that, and they have not drafted that guy yet. I feel.
I think you put Tatis leadoff. Do you?
The White Sox?
No, you're talking about Tatis Jr. Oh, you're not talking.
I was talking about Tim Anderson, bro.
I'm talking about Tatis Jr. Oh shit! I'm just talking about Tatis. I don't know why you. These are the same player, but yeah. I mean, my fault. Yeah. I'm tripping. I'm tired, man. It's been a long day. I put all night in.
Oh shit! No, but like you're right.
Yeah, I mean, it applies to both of them. Tim Anderson, absolutely, he's going to go to center field, or he's going to be a super utility guy. Because he's like that kid that plays shortstop because he was the most athletic player on the team.
Yeah, but you can tell he's not. He doesn't have the clock for it. Yeah. And I mean, with Tatis, like pretty much we said, is the same thing. So, I mean, Tatis, I feel like has a bit more of a shot because he's more fluid. I think, and he's younger.
Absolutely. Yeah, he has arm slots better down to throw. That you have to throw from multiple arm slots as a shortstop, based on where you're on the field.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. Like he has more arm talent in that sense.
Yeah, he does. I still think that he's eventually going to have to move off shortstop. I mean, especially because the dude is so tall.
Yeah, he's going to play center field probably. I think later in his career, just preserve his body.
Yeah, pretty much. I'd say that. I mean, the White Sox and the Padres, they feel similar in some ways. Now, let's put this aside. The Padres are going to be the number 4 seed. The White Sox are going to be probably number 1 seed at this rate.
Tampa Bay is ahead of them right now by a game.
Are they? Damn, I didn't know that. Yeah. Okay, so I changed my mind. I thought they were like a game ahead. Now go ahead, because.
No, yeah, the Rays are by a game on in the standings right now. It's the Rays versus. Let me see if I can find that chart. But I know for a fact.
Blue Jays.
Right now, the White Sox are matched up with the Rays and Blue Jays. And then it's Cleveland versus the White Sox. And then it's
Oakland and the Astros. And the fucking Twins and the Yankees, dog.
Oh, how? Every year, bro. Every year.
Dog,
this is gonna be so glorious.
Escape.
I can't wait to talk shit to my friends that are Twins fans, man. Oh my goodness, this is gonna be glorious.
This is
the best news I've gotten all year, bro. Like if 2020 me created a time machine and went back in time and told 2018 me that we have a pandemic, but it will cause expanded playoff baseball with you playing the White Sox in the first round and the Twins playing the Yankees in the first round, and the Astros playing the Athletics in the first round. And the Astros are cheaters and all that other shit, bro. You know how fired, and the Blue Jays playing the Rays. You know how fired. I would say hell yeah, bro. I got you. I'm gonna make sure this happens.
Make sure the pandemic happens.
Bro, like,
that's funny.
Bro, this is, I mean, the expanded playoff thing, I had my reservation with it, and we talked about it multiple times, how it makes teams not want to excel as much. You're going to cut corners. They're not going to invest in players as much.
Yeah.
As they should, because it just makes owners more complacent by not spending money in playoffs unless owners see it as a chance to get a World Series and actually give out checks to let teams make better competition. But we'll see. There's a lot of young talent coming out right now as well, so it might make that happen in this era. Just as a time mechanism they've done to get shit to work. So honestly, at this point, who knows what's gonna happen?
I think that I mean, we've talked about the expanded postseason. There's no need to really dwell on it as much. It promotes mediocrity. That's basically all there is to say.
Yeah.
The thing is, the American League, because it's always so top heavy, the postseason is already pretty much set in stone. There's not a fucking chance in hell the Mariners are going on a fucking crazy run and knocking off the Blue Jays. There's just no way. And no one else is making the postseason. So the National League is actually more interesting in that regard, because while the Dodgers are clearly the best team in the National League and probably the best team in baseball, period. Well, not probably, they are. They just choke in the postseason all the time, but they are the best team in baseball right now on paper and on the field until October hits. So they're the clear number one seed, and the Cubs are the number 2 seed. The Braves are the number 3 seed. That's fine. We've talked about it. The Padres, of course, are locked into the number 4 seed, and then everything just kind of falls apart. So after that, I'm going to recite all these teams because you got 6 teams fighting for 4 spots, pretty much, right? You got the Marlins, who have been much better than we both had anticipated. The Cardinals, the Phillies, the Reds, the Brewers, and the Giants. Now, all these teams are separated by 2.5 games. That's 6 teams separated by 2.5 games. The Marlins are currently the number 5 spot, Cardinals 6, Phillies 7, and then there's 3 teams, and then the Reds, the Brewers, and the Giants are all at 500, and there's barely over a week, like a week basically left in the season. This is going to be hectic. If you had to pick, like, which 2 of those 6 teams I named get left off?
I'm gonna say the Phillies. And
Damn. Okay.
The
Phillies and
Reds.
who else? The
The
Phillies and the
Reds.
Reds.
Yeah.
So you're picking the Giants to make the postseason?
Oh shit! I forgot about them. No, I don't know. Fuck the Giants. Okay, nah, Giants. Phillies and Giants.
Phillies and
I forgot
Giants.
about
Okay.
that. Giants have been so irrelevant since just
Since like 2016, pretty much.
they messed with their rebuild bad by keeping on those players. Honestly,
Yeah, a little bit. Like they think they're gonna. Anyway,
like they thought they
the
could
team-
have had like another wave of new talent come up, I guess, but nah, they botched all that shit. They should've just
yeah, should have been
Of
traded
course,
people. I'll pick the Marlins to be in. I picked the Cardinals to be in somehow. I think they're going to squeeze into the playoffs, number 8 seed, even though they got a hectic schedule coming up. Then I go with Phillies and Reds being in. So I would say the Brewers and the Giants get knocked out, because the Giants, because they just don't belong. They're playing over their heads, over their heads. My bad. And the Brewers, because they're just not. I mean, the pitching staff is brilliant, and I'm sure they would scare a couple people, but I just don't see it. I think the Reds are more talented, and they've actually started, waking up a little bit in the second half of the season. So I think that as currently constructed, the postseason standings are fine. They would involve, as of right now, just so people know, they would involve the Dodgers playing the Reds, the Cubs playing the Phillies, the Braves playing the Cardinals, rematch of last year in that massacre Game 5, and the Padres playing the Marlins. So, I mean, I don't know, like, all these teams near pretty much right at 500, making it into the postseason does not sit well with me at all. Still, but I mean, shit, I guess, man. The one thing there is though is because all these teams are so close to each other, individual players do make a big amount of the difference, pretty much, and this is kind of the segment where you actually get to talk some shit, right? Because it's you'll see it in the description with the timestamps and all that. Let's talk about some MVPs, because the MVP award and the Cy Young award, of course, but the Cy Young has less debate to it this year, especially. The MVP is a very narrative-centric award. It's typically goes to good players on good teams, and typically players that the media see very often, East Coast players, guys like that. So let's break it down. So let's go with the American League first. You want to break, because I think there's how many candidates? I think there's like 4 or 5 candidates in the American League. You want to break them down?
Yeah, sure.
All right.
So I'm on Firegraphs looking at the leaders on WAR right now, and I'm just gonna go based on that order. But it's not gonna be in that order based on WAR. We're gonna go into context with you guys a little bit and explain everything when we give our rankings right now.
Mm-hmm.
So right now Jose Ramirez is leading the American League Position Player Group in WAR with 2.8. He's had 150 runs weighted created plus. 39.6 weighted on base average. He's batting 284 with a 390 with a 369 on base percentage and a 574 slugging. He's running a walk rate of 11.6% and a K rate of 17.8%, which is a career high for him, but it's still below average. I'm not worried about this. It's a 60-game season. We were 60 games in the season. He was running a K rate that high, but still running 150 weighted run created plus. I'll be really encouraged, because when he's really going to get locked in, the K rate's going to drop to 11%, 10.
Mm-hmm.
So, but it's a 60-game season, so I'll take it if he's going to still put up what the numbers that we're used to him putting up. And he also has 2.6 base running value. He's 8th in baseball with 15 home runs. He also has 10 stolen bases, and he's only one of 2 players in the MLB to have double-digit home runs and stolen bases. The other is Trevor Story of the Colorado Rockies. Without Jose Ramirez, Cleveland Baseball Club would not be in the playoff hunt, or in the wild card spot, in 7th spot. That's a fact.
He's been their offense.
Yes, he's been the offense for my team, my favorite baseball team. Yes, 38 RBI and 39 home run and 39 runs scored.
Yeah, he's the best player on the team. If you're talking value, like most value, because a lot of people like to go to that argument. Well, if he's on a losing team or a team that's not that good, then how can he be, that valuable? Well, first of all, dickhead, this is baseball. One player can only contribute so much. He can only take at most 1/9 of the plate appearances. So keep that in mind.
I got a fact for you too.
Yeah, go ahead.
If Jose Ramirez scores 1 more run and hits 2 more RBIs, him and Mike Trout are going to be the only players in baseball with 40 runs and 40 RBIs. Well, only players in AL with 40 runs and 40 RBIs.
That's elite. That's pretty
He
elite company.
has a higher award than Mike Trout right now, and everybody else in the AL.
He's going at pretty much 7+ WAR pace, 8-ish WAR pace.
And he's had a 7.5 season, 7.9.
Y'all people need to stop playing with Jose Ramirez, man.
For real, man.
Stop playing with dude, man.
That boy's a beast. He's a beast.
Yeah, just because he's not bilingual and he don't look like a mega fucking athlete. Man, cut that shit out, man. The man is the best player on that team. He's a legitimate MVP player. Don't play with the man's name, bro. Like people just gotta they gotta start giving people credit, man. And I feel like Tim Anderson is gonna win that award unless he falls off a cliff in this final week. Just based off narrative. And he's played very well, but just off narrative. And I think he's gonna win that one.
Yeah, and I don't think he should, but I think he should be in top 30 or top 4 at the least.
Yeah. He's had a good year. But
yeah, I'm a huge Tim Anderson fan, by the way. I did an article on him. Back baseball players need to know. I broke down what I liked about him, his whole career, and how improbable his baseball superstardom is. Mm-hmm. But we'll break down Tim Anderson. If you want to break him down now, we could talk about his AL MVP picture and kind of give our concerns and stuff like that.
So the thing with him, and we kind of talked about his defensive concerns earlier in the podcast. You know, that lack of an internal clock. He doesn't have that. He's a good athlete.
Great athlete, excellent, top. He's a 70 grade athlete.
Yeah, that's a fact. Like good, pretty much sells him short. So here's the thing with Tim Anderson. So Tim Anderson is a shortstop, of course. That's a pretty valuable defensive position, I would say. But he doesn't really play shortstop very well. Now you can be a valuable player and not play a good shortstop, as Derek Jeter has showed over and over again. But especially when you're the type of hitter that Tim Anderson is, your value can really vary from year to year. Because let's put it like this, people. Tim Anderson is a hitter who doesn't have good plate discipline. He swings a lot, period. He swings at a lot of bad pitches. He makes contact, though, and he makes hard contact, but he also strikes out quite a bit. He doesn't take his walks. He's more of your typical high batting average, mediocre on base percentage guy. The jump in terms of hitting the ball with authority and slugging a lot, that's good for him. But the approach is very luck centric, and I mean when you combine that with the fact that he's not that good of a defensive shortstop, and I don't know what his base running value is looking like, but it can't be like super elite.
0.8.
Yeah, that's not very good. That's above average, but so I mean, the argument for him to win it is that he's been one of the two best players on one of the best teams in baseball, and not just that. There's also narrative there because baseball desperately wants to attract younger fans, and Tim Anderson plays the game with that flair and that personality and that attitude that baseball really needs. And y'all know we both applaud him for that, and we fuck with him. But if he wins the MVP, let's just be real, it'll be narrative based. They'll pretty much give him the MVP as a sign of, okay, this guy's a star, and y'all better pay attention to him, right? Because I mean, Anthony Rendon, Mike Trout, Jose Ramirez, Jose Abreu, his own teammate, they all have cases that are just as good as his. So,
absolutely.
And another
DJ
thing,
LeMahieu too.
Oh yeah. I
And
forgot about DJ.
Cruz.
I forgot. Oh yeah. So
and Luke Voigt might steal a lot of votes as well because he has 21 home runs, bro.
Yeah. Holy shit. 21. Oh god damn. So, but I mean, I'd say that Nelson Cruz, because he's a DH, he's probably like a second tier candidate for the AL.
Yeah, same with Luke Voigt because he's a first baseman, but the 21
he's a
home
butcher
runs is gonna,
at first base.
Yeah, he is. The 21 home runs is gonna get him some votes.
Yeah.
And Lindor is going to get votes just off of his name.
Yeah.
And who's 12th in the WAR amongst AL position players?
Who?
Alex Verdugo.
He's been good. I told people.
Yeah, like people think he's been awful.
But he's not Mookie.
He should have got a lot more from Mookie. But I mean, him and Jeter Downs and Connor Wong is a pretty good deal for him.
He's good, man. He's good
for a year of Mookie. Yeah, Verdugo is really good. He just has some personal issues that we've talked about off air.
Doesn't he have a positive defensive value, and he's a corner outfielder?
Yeah, he has a 2.8, but he could play center field.
He plays mostly right though, but
he could play. He's like George Springer. If George Springer plays 140 games, he would do like 80 and 150 games. He would do like 80 in the center, 70 in right field, or something like that.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Like how George Springer does.
Yeah.
I think that's going to be him. Just defensively, how they rotate him between right and left, right and center.
He's a better defender too than Springer, so
yeah, he is. Better
he's
arm.
a good player.
Really good arm. Lindor is 13th in the WAR, but usually Mayhew is 6th, and he's going to get some votes because he's on the Yankees.
He has a better case than last year.
Yeah, absolutely. Jose Abreu has been scorching the ball this year. Just he's been destroying the ball. And this is what he can do. He's done this before. He was like 3rd or 4th or 2nd or something in his rookie year, wasn't he?
I don't know, but I know he's been really good for a very long time.
Yeah, Anthony Rendon is amazing.
Insane.
60% walk rate and a 12% K rate, bro. 277, 416, 503 with a 39.6 weighted on base average for 156, and he's still putting up a 3.2 value on defense, and he's running a positive base running value.
Best third baseman in baseball, aside from Ramirez.
Jose Abreu is running a 92.5 exit velocity for average. And Anthony Rendon has a 90. Mike Trout has a 93, bro. What does this man eat? Teoscar Hernandez has a 93 G. This Teoscar Hernandez has been destroying and mess up the ball.
Yeah.
Teoscar
So if you had to vote, like not to cut you off, but like if you had to vote right now, and be sure that while Pat is a huge fan, he is objective. So if you had to vote right now, like give me like top 3 MVP, AL MVP vote.
Jose Ramirez, Jose Abreu. Tim Anderson.
Okay, I got Jose Ramirez 1, Rendon 2, Jose Abreu 3.
I think what's gonna happen is I think they're gonna put if they don't make one of the White Sox players first, and Jose Ramirez like scorches his whole weekend next week, last weeks of baseball, like he's been doing at the space he's at, he might just win the whole thing. But if they do that, then I think Jose Abreu and Tim Anderson could be back to back right behind each other, and one or the other in 2 and 3.
They might share the MVP.
There might be a tie. That could happen.
That could be interesting. So
yeah, but
so that's the
Mike Trout is going to be top 5 too, and DJ LeMahieu and Anthony Rendon. It's going to be those. That's going to be the top 7, I think.
Also, that's
Nelson
also
Cruz is going to be in there too.
Yeah, go ahead. It's so impressive. It's so impressive. Like, sorry to cut you off. Like, it's so impressive that the Angels have 2 of the 5 best players in the American League, and they're so ass. Go ahead.
Yeah, like their pitching staff is just awful. Their peripheral players are. I can't blame the peripheral players because they usually have a pretty good supporting cast. They have some like Andrelton Simmons, Cole Calhoun, but he's gone. They still got David Fletcher and Tommy La Stella. They traded Fletcher, right?
They traded Fletcher?
Didn't they trade David Fletcher? I don't think they did.
Not that I remember.
No, he still plays for them. Okay, I'm tripping.
Yeah, it makes sense. So, I think that makes sense. Like to end the conversation, like that's pretty much the AL picture. There's very like heavy narratives going on. But Jose Ramirez, if he keeps playing like this, he should win it. Will he win it though? We don't know. So moving on to the National League MVP. Now this one is very interesting because 3 weeks ago, it was unanimous. Fernando Tatis Jr. He's the future. He's the best player in baseball. He's going to win MVP. He's going to win every award. He's going to win 300 World Series. He's the greatest player to ever touch a baseball. He slumped recently, which, by the way, every baseball player does. And it means now that the MVP race is actually very interesting because there is, realistically, I'd say there are 5 candidates. There's Tatis, of course. There's Freddie Freeman. And then oh my God, I forgot. Jeez, like I just had like a brain freeze. I forgot the fucking candidates. Tatis, Freeman,
Machado.
Yes,
Mookie.
Machado, Mookie, and Trevor Story, I think, are the 5 candidates.
Yep.
Okay. God damn. I'm sorry.
I tried to give you some time, bro. Like,
yeah,
I could tell you, like, you were right there. Like, you knew, but you didn't know.
Yeah, that's fact. And the National League MVP race is really interesting. You got a case? Like, you want to make a case for one of the 4?
I'll do Manny. I'll do Manny Machado.
Okay.
I'll pick Manny Machado because Freddie Freeman is too easy. So Manny Machado right now is running a 314 average, 376 on base percentage, a 604 slugging for 155. WRC plus. He's having an average exit velocity at 90 miles per hour, which is great. His base running value is negative, but it's only 60 games, and I'll give him a pass on that. He has 16 home runs and 42 RBI, with 42 runs with 46 RBI. Dang, he's just nationally putting up numbers. But Manny Machado has always been a great player. Like, he's literally on the Hall of Fame track.
He is.
You agree?
Yeah, 120%.
You think he's on the Hall of Fame track?
If he had a little blimp on the radar last year. That was, he had a bad year last year, but like, realistically speaking, when you look at what he's done up to now and the fact that he has a chance to age gracefully, probably so. Yeah, he's Hall of Fame. He's on the road to the Hall of Fame. Whether he gets there, we'll see. But he's on the road.
Really durable too, because he's always been durable. Like, he played 162 games 1 year.
Yeah, Latino players typically they play unless they literally can't walk. So
yeah, and his glove is really amazing too. He's running a 3.2 defensive value as well, so he has 2.7 WAR, but while Freddie Freeman and Tatis Jr. sitting at 2.9, and Mookie is right below them at 2.6, and Trevor Story is at 2.4. So who would you pick for your case?
Okay, so my case, I mean, again, this is very much narrative based. I got to imagine that MLB and really the people around the game are dying for Tatis to go crazy this final week so they can justify giving it to him.
Yes.
To kind of promote the changing of the guard. And I wouldn't be mad at that, but being real, I'd love to say Trevor Story because he's literally been the only good thing about the Rockies, like on a large scale from the position player side. Actually, here's a stat for you, and you're probably not going to believe this. This is not counting yesterday's game, by the way, where they beat the Dodgers, but the point still stands, right? So, all right, so check this out. So, since August 9th, all Rockies position players and pitchers, every one of the Rockies, has accumulated 1.3 F WAR. Right?
Uh-huh.
You heard that right.
No, repeat that. No, bro. You lying, bro.
Since August 9th, Everyone on the Rockies, position players and pitchers, have accumulated 1.3 F4. That's second worst in baseball, by the way, only ahead of the Rangers and well behind other teams that are shamelessly rebuilding. But that's not the wild shit.
That's a month and 2 weeks.
Yeah, that's a month, 2 weeks, 1.3 F4 as a team. But here's the wild shit. In that same time frame, Trevor Story has accumulated 1.7 F4. So in other words, ladies and gentlemen, every single Rockies player not named Trevor Story since August 9th has combined for minus 0.4 F4. This is not a joke. I'm not making it up. If you want to go by valuable, Trevor Story's your pick.
That's
but
crazy,
being
bro.
real, that's fucking insane. And I'm actually going to get mad again, so I'm not going to say that. So I'm not going to continue. But honestly, like I said, MLB probably wants Tatis to get hot, fucking destroy the ball final week, and they can give it to him. But realistically, I think this has to be, and there's still a week to go, of course, but realistically, Mookie has been great, and he's been consistently great, and he definitely has a case to be, in my opinion, top 3. I think Machado is going to be hurt by the fact that he plays on the same team as Tatis, and he doesn't really excel in one particular category when compared to the other 4 main candidates.
It might be Mookie.
I think it has to be Freddie Freeman, dog. If there's a year for him to win it, it's this one. He's been
statistically, he's been the best player in baseball, offensively, from offensive standpoint.
I just think that
so I read an article on Fangraphs, and he's hit a 300 WRC plus span for 1 to 2 weeks 3 times in his career. No. And they say he regularly runs 200 WRC plus 2 week spans. Freddie Freeman is really unappreciated amongst baseball in general.
He's another guy who's on a Hall of Fame track too.
He's a hitting savant. That's the only way to put it. He's a hitting savant.
Yeah. If there's any year where he's going to win it, then this is the year. He's gone crazy this year. He's gone crazy.
He's been torching the MLBs. Torching. Just everybody, man.
And let's not forget, the man had corona.
Yes.
He missed a couple games early on, and he said he felt weak.
And he played with corona. And he played with the after effects of that shit, bro.
Yeah, and he's been
his body probably doesn't even feel right all the way right now.
Yeah. And look what he's doing. Being real, I think this is Freddie Freeman's award to win. The narrative says Tatis, and I would not be upset. Let's be real here. We both said.
It depends on who's on the committee, though, too, or who's voting. Yeah. If it's younger voters, then it should be fine. But a lot of the older voters are going to go for.
Yeah, they're going to go for the narrative.
Yeah,
but I mean, let's be real. I would not be mad if Tatis and Tim Anderson won MVP awards. They both have great years.
Yes, they both have great case. The thing about 60 game is just hard to. You want to say it, but you got 162 games in a season. Just see how far these guys are going to go.
Yeah, because people can get hot for 60 games. So.
Yeah, exactly. You could put up 0.4 WAR in 6 games. You hit home runs each game or some shit like that.
Yeah. So that's pretty much it. For me, it has to be Freddie Freeman, dog, because I would love to say Juan Soto, but he hasn't played enough to me, and he's been really bad defensively this year for some reason. But I mean, he's still Ted Williams Jr. So, it has to be Freddie.
I agree.
And that's pretty much everything I got. I will say though that it's gonna help Tatis, the fact that the Padres are such they're such a popular team, and they're such they make so many headlines. That's gonna help Tatis.
I got a counter to that though.
Yeah, go ahead.
What if they go with Mookie since he's the best player on the best team in baseball? He's in LA, just signed the big money contract. You don't think that would steal some votes? I mean,
that's a fair argument, actually. Like I hadn't considered that, but I think that
Think about it. Mookie will be the second player in baseball to win an MVP award in both leagues. Who was the other player? Frank Robertson. They're both black players. Think about what's happening right now. The MLB will do some corny shit like that. And that would be the reason why those doors. Would it not?
yeah,
And
that's
I think
actually
the MVP award is named after Frank Robertson too, and Frank Robertson just passed away.
a fucking good point because they might go for some corny shit. That's a good point. I didn't even notice that. I think the reason I didn't consider Mookie on the same level as Freeman and Tatis, not like he's a better player than both, but I don't know. Like I think it's pretty much because he's been so steady throughout the year. Like he's been consistently great, whereas Tatis was like lighting the world on fire for a span and then has been less, which is okay. And Freddie Freeman has been on fire since day one. Like I think voters are like they can be easily impressed by these stretches of monumental performance rather than steady 150 WRC plus performance, that kind of deal. But I do think that the argument of giving MVPs to two black players just as virtue signaling pretty much. I do think that's some shit MLB would 100% pull. So I would not be surprised.
Yeah, absolutely. They'll do something like that.
Yeah, they would do some corny shit. I hope they don't, because that would be a dumb reason to give someone an MVP. If you think he deserves it, then fine. But come on, man, like don't go for no corny shit. So yeah, that's pretty much it. I don't think there's anything else on MVP talk really. It's just narrative based. I think we can move on to the what I would like to call the main event. There's news, folks. See, the New York Mets, in case y'all didn't know, they've forever been run by clowns, right? And there's been rumors around the Mets of Mets ownership selling the team, and for a very long time, pretty much since 2011, 2010, somewhere around that. Now, if I'm not mistaken, Pat, and I think you got the scoop on this one, Pat Rosenthal, I think, has the scoop. So can you give us like some actual news on what the sale of the Mets is looking like? Because then I'll clown them.
So, Steve Cohen is a billionaire. He bought the Mets. He's a hedge funder. He made a lot of money, a lot of money. He grew up in New York as a Mets fan. He paid $4 million, which is the largest sale in MLB history. $4 billion. I'm tripping.
Damn, $4 billion.
$4 billion, bro. It's the biggest sale in MLB history.
Doesn't surprise me. $4 billion is pretty fucking crazy.
No, it wasn't $4 billion. It was 2.242 billion. I'm tripping. So Cohen was a minority owner team already. He had like 8%, and he's just shooting 95% ownership of the team, increasing his stake from 8%.
Yeah,
and so the Wilpons bought the Mets in 2002 for $391 million, and they're getting $2.42 billion for them.
And they're going to need that to pay some debts.
Yeah, and it's also most profitable in terms of total dollar amount.
Yeah, and see the Mets, they're a New York team. That by default means they're a valuable team, correct? I mean,
yes.
Like there's just LA team, New York team, automatically valuable franchise. So let's actually, and I've actually taken the liberty of going ahead, and doing sort of a bio in terms of the Wilpons, the Mets, and what the Mets have looked like since the Wilpons became majority owners, as Pat said in 2002. Do you mind if I go ahead, Pat?
No, go ahead.
All right, so This is story time, folks. So pay attention. Sit down and actually listen to me clown the Mets. So the Wilpons became majority owners. Okay, so actually, let's set the stage. The New York Mets have won 2 World Series, 1969 and 1986. And in 2000, they went to the World Series. They lost. In 99, they went to the NLCS. They lost. So they were coming off, pretty strong playoff success, although they were pretty mediocre in 2001. So the Wilpons, who had been involved with the Mets as part owners for a couple decades, they finally became majority owners in 2002. And in 2002, the Mets, as result of the Wilpons becoming majority owners, they jumped the shark. So let's go ahead and do this. Starting in 2002, the Mets were terrible all the way until 2006. So that's 02, 03, 04, 05. Terrible. Really bad teams. And then in 06, they actually had a really strong season, 97 wins. And they lose in the NLCS 4-3 against the Cardinals team that would go on to win the World Series that year. Mets fans will forever remember this, and they will forever dread the moment of Carlos Beltran getting caught looking against Adam Wainwright. We all know who we're talking about. So that's already one failure. Then the following year, of course. Now peep this. The following year, 07, the Mets spent 159 days in first place in the NL East, only to lose 5 straight games at the end of September and not make the postseason. So that's already failure number 2. In 08, they had a pretty strong season, 80 some wins. I feel like they almost reached 90, if I'm not mistaken. But they couldn't match the Phillies. They couldn't get to the playoffs. It's whatever. That's failure number 3, though, for a New York team that's, can't tolerate that. And then we start getting into the really bad years. From 2009 to 2015, well, until 2015, that is 5 straight seasons of less than 80 wins. And part of this is only compounded by the fact that attendance falls off a cliff. So in 2015, they, out of nowhere, with new pieces to the core, they go all the way to the World Series. They take a L in 5 games to the fucking Royals somehow. Then the following year, they have a pretty strong year. They go to the wild card game and they get smoked by the Giants in postseason. Madison Bumgarner. He throws a complete game, shuts them out. And after that, the wheels just fall off. They were terrible again in 2017, 2018. Then last year, they just kept tripping over themselves, failed to make the postseason, despite being way more talented than the Brewers, who made it in, for example. And this year, it's been yet another clown show, because even with a 16-team postseason, the Mets are not going to make it in. It's going to take an unbelievable run from them and an unbelievable amount of collapse from other teams ahead of them for them to have a shot. So, let's go look at the final scores, people. Since 2002, that's 19 seasons. 12 of those 19 have been losing years. Not bad. They've won 2 division titles in 19 years. Made the playoffs 3 times. They've won 3 playoff series in 19 years. Now, this is another fun one. They've had 8 managers, Pat, in 19 years. 8 in 19 years. How does that sound?
Mediocre.
Facts. And that's what they've been.
And bare minimum.
Yeah, exactly. And now we get into the stories. Because there are a lot of fucking stories about the Wilpons and how they run the team. In general, let's define the Wilpons ownership as way too hands-on, meddling, incompetent, and generally the Wilpons have been people who tend to think that they're baseball gurus and they actually really know what they're doing.
Knowledgeable.
Yeah, exactly. They don't know what the fuck they're doing, but they think they know. There's stories about Fred Wilpon. This is not a joke. There's stories about Fred Wilpon, the owner, watching pitchers during bullpen sessions and openly giving his opinion as to what he's doing right, what the pitcher's doing right, and what they're doing wrong. The Wilpons used to decide which minor league affiliate would host injured players' rehabilitation assignments. The Wilpons also wanted to be informed of every single roster move down to rookie ball. In other words, folks, the Wilpons wanted a hand in everything that was going on with the team. And when you get meddlesome ownership that doesn't really know what the fuck it's doing, what you get is a team like the Mets. Pure mediocrity.
My franchise will never.
Yeah, they better never. The team is said, like, this is another thing. The team, the Mets, are said to change philosophies on how they spend, on how they build their team from year to year, even month to month. There's actually a quote from an employee that said that Fred Wilpon once told him in January that, okay, you guys have this much money to spend. I've made up my mind. And the employee was like, oh, that's cool. You could have told us this shit in December when all the free agents were available, dickhead. Right? That type of shit. But how does everything fall apart, right, for the Wilpons? Because despite the fact, like, you can be an incompetent owner and still make money on a baseball team, right? There's really no problem to that. The problem is the Wilpons. Profitable. Yep. The Wilpons, the problem is they were involved heavily in the 2008 economic crisis. Now, if y'all were around back then and like paying attention, y'all will probably remember a name called Bernard Madoff. He was an investor who ended up, turned out that he was on some heavy fraud shit, and the Wilpons had invested real heavy on him. And all that turned out to be fraudulent money, and they lost hundreds of millions of dollars. They actually got sued for $1 billion by some people. There's reports that the Mets have been losing more than $50 million per year since like 2017, 2016, and the Mets are at the limit of the debt allowed by MLB. So, they've been looking to sell the team since pretty much 2010, 2011. The problem
Nobody will buy it. Or they're asking for too much.
They want control of the team still, in some ways, while they sell it.
Like with the scouting department on it, or front office?
I'm pretty sure they still want some say into how the team is run. And that's how you get to the point that we got now. The Mets are finally sold. The Wilpons will probably be set aside. And
they're 5% owners, but they're not going to have any say in how anything goes. Steve Cohen has full control, and he has the most money of any MLB owner now by far.
That's a good thing. And
he's worth $14 billion.
God damn. That's quite a bit of money.
There was some MLB owners had reservations about how he's going to spend on the market because he's going to literally take everybody.
Yeah, like he's basically going to be handing out.
But he also has some hands in the economic crash too. So he has a record, and people talking about it. They're still not going to They're still going to prove him just because there's so much money moving. They need that advertisement.
Yeah. So basically, the Mets got themselves a mega billionaire owner who's probably willing to spend a lot of money on the team.
Francisco Lindor is going to be the New York Met. That's depressing.
Him or Trevor Story, one of the two. I mean, it's good for Mets fans because hopefully they can stop, wanting to kill themselves every single game they watch.
Basically.
Oh my God. When you said the Rockies were the Mets, if the Mets had stumbled upon an elite third baseman shortstop duo, that was so accurate. Well, Now, hopefully, the Mets are going to be less of a laughing stock because imagine the little brother syndrome Mets fans have.
Oh my goodness, that's awful, bro. Just wait. Just imagine how Mets fans are gonna talk so much shit to Yankees fans if the Mets ever win a World Series before the Yankees do.
Yeah.
Since the last one there is, or the Mets beat the Yankees in the World Series, or some crazy shit like that.
If the Mets beat the Yankees in the World Series, New York City will collapse.
That would be amazing. That would be so amazing. Just imagine Twitter, man. Twitter would be a bloodbath.
Yeah, if that happens, I'm pretty sure every single Yankees fan will say, "No, I've had enough. This team has failed enough over the years," because they only won 98 games and made it to the World Series. Yeah, I think that that kind of covers the whole Mets story, really, folks. It's a very interesting franchise, very incompetent franchise. Hopefully, Mets fans can sleep a bit easier at night. Do y'all have a billionaire owner that's going to spend a whole bunch of fucking money on the team and probably get y'all to be at least competitive? Now, will he throw the future away for the sake of being competitive in 2 years? Who knows? But at least they have something to look forward to. So I think that was pretty much everything.